Even though most modern action cameras have fantastic digital stabilisation these days, a 3-axis gimbal is still a really useful tool, especially when you're trying to get the best video quality without cropping into the image. And for times like those, we have this, the Falcon 3-axis gimbal. When you have a small yet very powerful action camera like the GoPro Hero 10, the DJI Osmo Action, even the modular Insta360 1R, and you need an external 3-axis gimbal system to go along with it, chances are you'll want something equally as compact, and the Falcon is just that. There's no fancy storage or travel case here either, just the gimbal within its packaging, although it is rather light and compact, complementing a small action camera nicely. Nevertheless, upon initial inspection, the quality is actually really good. We have that typical 3-motor gimbal design at the top, which is all metal, attached to the more plastic feeling hand grip below. No folding design to fumble about with, so nothing out of the ordinary there, although I'm happy with the quality I've seen so far. The smaller overall size means the hand grip itself is shorter than most others, and although it lacks any ergonomic design, it does seem to fit in the hand really nicely and it's completely comfortable. I can't see myself having any problems with this even during longer recording sessions. If you did prefer a longer design, a metal 1/4" 20 thread is incorporated into the bottom, and the package includes a handy tripod that can be attached and used as a lengthier hand grip for those with larger hands, or to place the unit down on flat surfaces when shooting a time-lapse for instance. Sticking with the main unit though, we find the typical array of user controls placed conveniently near the user's thumb. These consist of the typical thumbstick for making gimbal adjustments, along with mode and power buttons. Yes, that's a power button even though it does look like a shutter button. Anyways, just above we have status indicators for the different gimbal modes too, making everything nice and simple to see at a glance. On one side we also have buttons for switching between different camera modes and the actual shutter button, used once the gimbal is wirelessly paired with the camera of course, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. Finally, on the opposite side we find a USB-C charging port, used alongside the included cable to charge the built-in 2500 mAh battery, which should easily see most people through an entire day's typical usage, and around the front a nice large trigger button for recentering the gimbal. Moving up, we have that 3-motor gimbal design compensating for movement across the 3 axes. Nothing out of the ordinary here, with a roll axis being slightly lower down, providing the ability to see the rear screen of your attached action camera, which is a nice added touch. Talking of action cameras, getting one in place does require some balancing though, and with a camera secured into position, we're using a GoPro in this example, we're not quite ready to shoot. We need to make some final small balancing adjustments, which involve loosening a screw on the rear, the tool is included in the package by the way, before moving the camera to either side to balance the roll axis. Repeat the same process on the side with 2 screws, in order to slide the camera up and down to balance the tilt axis. The aim being to balance the system out as much as possible in order to reduce any unnecessary stress being placed on the motors. Once done, you're ready to shoot. And using the gimbal is quite straightforward. A 2-second press of the power button and it's instantly ready for use. The indicator lights come to life and highlight the current active mode, while a tap of the power button again adjusts the lights to show current battery status. A nice little touch. Anyways, from here the gimbal motors work together to stabilize across all 3 axes. No problems there at all. The motors do feel silky smooth and are practically silent in operation. Of course, we can use the thumbstick to make finer camera angle adjustments. And should you get muddled up or want a quick reset, a double tap of the trigger will recenter the gimbal, while a triple tap activates selfie mode, and another double tap to recenter back to the front again. All nice and easy. We have all the common shooting modes available, locking and unlocking different axes as you see fit, with the current active mode being shown via the handy status LEDs. At any time, keep the trigger button pressed to instantly lock all axes, and keep the camera pointed in the one direction. We also have a flashlight shooting mode activated by simply holding the gimbal in a horizontal orientation and double tapping the mode button. This also places the camera into a portrait orientation, perfect for Instagram and TikTok videos for instance. And again, we can keep the camera position locked by keeping the trigger button pressed too. while a further double tap activates the inception mode, where we can use the thumbstick to rotate the camera a full 360 degrees. And if all that wasn't enough, physically move the camera into any position and the gimbal will keep it there too. And of course, double tap the trigger to recenter. So we do have all the common gimbal modes available, and the indicator LEDs quickly and easily highlight the current mode, all very handy, although by activating the camera's wireless connectivity and choosing to connect to the app, it instantly pairs with the gimbal, which we can now confirm with the lit connection light on the unit, and we can now use the side buttons to take an image or start and stop video capture, all without having to touch the camera itself. Another neat little feature. Nevertheless, when it comes to performance, as we would expect nowadays, everything worked perfectly well. Like other handheld stabilizers, it can't do much about the up and down motion as you walk or run, but it still manages to iron out a lot of it to give really smooth footage. With those added shooting modes, you can really pull off some impressive shots. Saying that, most modern action cameras have incredible digital stabilization these days, which in itself is gimbal-like. GoPro have Hypersmooth, DJI with their Rocksteady, and so on. So the question is, do you actually still need a gimbal? Well, that depends on your shooting scenario. Although most action cameras nowadays shoot at very high resolutions, this Hero 10 at 5.3K for instance, when you add image stabilization in camera, it will digitally crop into that video, so that the digital crop can move and turn in order to compensate for the vibrations and movement of the camera. So the more aggressive image stabilization you have, the less video quality or resolution you're going to get out of your camera. By using a physical stabilizer like this, you maintain full resolution at all times, since it's independent of the camera. Also consider the fact that digital stabilization assesses the frame and is great for forward moving shots, but not so much with panning shots, which can be jerky since the stabilization tries to lock the frame. Gimbals like this do not suffer such issues and will maintain smoothness throughout. Nevertheless, as it stands, we have a really nice gimbal here. Throughout use, I experienced no performance issues at all. It all works wonderfully well. You'll want to take some time getting used to the different modes so you can capture footage suited to your scenario, but they're quick to learn, making the system a joy to use. It performs well, it's comfortable with good battery life, and the camera connectivity functions perfectly well. No problems there at all. So what it comes down to is this: if you're into forward moving or action shots, such as running, bike riding, skiing and so on, then the in-camera stabilization is ideal. There's no need for a gimbal like this. Although on the other hand, if you're looking for slow panning landscape shots, shots with less action, or even for general vlogging and recording your holiday surroundings for instance, then the Inkee Falcon would be ideal and comes well recommended.